In the previous video, we saw the Jamidari of Bengal. In 1764, after the Battle of Buxar, the East India Company got the political control over India. The colonial rule under the company was established in Bengal, and then company main interest was to earn profit and export the raw material and establish trade. So the official thought, if they invest in land, the production will increase, which will result in the growth of the trade. Now they look forward to identify the individual. Here they identify the Jamidar who could be loyal to them and work under company rules, who could improve the agricultural production and pay the revenue to the state. So now the company, they wanted that there should be regular flow of money as they were not getting after the Bengal famine. So this could be done by securing rights of property of land and permanently fixing the rate of revenue demand. That's why they introduced permanent settlement. So Jamidars were given numerous villages, sometimes as many as 400 villages under the supervision of collector. Then you can see now the company introduced permanent settlement in Bengal, fixed the total revenue of the estate, and the Jamidar had to pay the revenue by his estate. So who will pay the revenue? The Jotdar, the Rayat, okay? They will pay the revenue, but they failed or delayed. So what was the reason behind it? The revenue was very high and the production was very low. It was difficult for the Rayat to pay the taxes. The revenue was invariable regardless the harvest. The new group of such peasant and village headmen, okay, then you can say not pay taxes in time and delayed in giving excuses of bad harvest and low prices. So the Jamidar failed to pay the fixed revenue, and to recover the loss of the income, the company started the auctions of the estate. Here the auction of the state or Jamidari. As we saw in the auction of Bardwan, the Jamidar also found the way, and they follow certain steps that auctions could be in their favor by hook or by crook. So you can see the step taken by the Jamidar to resist against the auction. So what were the steps? Here you can see fictitious sale was once a strategy. The sale was not real. So it involves a series of action or plan. The Raja of Bardwan first transferred some of his Jamidari to his mother, since the company had that official orders or the law that the property of women would not be taken over. So then a second move is that second move, here you can see that his agent manipulate the auction. So how they manipulate the auction? You can see when a part of the estate, okay, it was auctioned, the Jamidar's men bought the property outbidding other purchases. Subsequently, they refused to pay up the purchase money, so that the estate had to be resold. Once again, it was bought by the Jamidar agent, okay, and then you can see the purchase money was not paid, and you can see once again there was an auction. So you can see the process was repeated endlessly, exhausting the state and other bidder at the auction. At last the estate sold the estate at low price back to the Jamidar. So the Jamidar never paid the full revenue demand. The company rarely recovered the unpaid balance that had piled up. So such type of transactions happened at a large scale, where you can see that Jamidar's agents and servants, they are bidding the estate, but they refuse to pay, and then again auction begins, and the same process continue until the company got exhausted, and then they gave the estate in low price. Okay. So between 1793 and 1801, four big Jamidars of Bengal, including the Bardwan, made this Benami purchases and earned the profit of 30 lakhs of the total sale at the auction. 15% was, you can see, fictitious. Then we found another way was the circumvent displacement. So what is there in the circumvent displacement? You can see they found another clever way to avoid the difficulties, okay, of not to displace from their position. When people from outside the Jamidar, they bought the estate, at times the agents would be attacked by the Lathyals of the former Jamidar. Sometimes the Rayat also resisted the entry of the outsider. They felt bound to the Jamidar, though a sense of loyalty, and perceived him as a figure of authority and themselves as his praja or subject. Okay, the sale of Jamidar disturbed this sense of identity, their pride. The Jamidar therefore was not easily displaced by his positions. By the beginning of the 19th century, the depression in price was over. Thus, those who had survived the trouble of 1790 consolidated their power. As a result, the Jamidar power over the village strengthened. So it was only during the year you can find 1930, the Great Depression, that they finally collapsed and the Jodhar consolidated power in the countryside. Now we see the fifth report. So you can see from the time the company established its rule in Bengal in the mid 1760, its activity were closely watched and debated in England. There were many groups in the Britain who were opposed of the monopoly that the East India Company had trade with India and China. So this group wanted a revocations, okay, withdrawal of those order and the orders or the law of the Royal Charter Act that gave the company the monopoly of, you can see, trade. So in what is monopoly? You can see there is a control or possessions of over the industries or service by one person or by one company. So increasing number of private traders, they wanted that they should be share in the Indian trades, and the industrialists of the British were keen to open up the Indian market for them. So for the British manufacturers, many political groups argued that the conquest of Bengal was benefiting only the East India Company, not the British as a whole. So information about company misrule and maladministration was hotly debated in Britain. An incident of the greed and, you can see, competitions of companies officials were widely published in press. So the British Parliament passed a series of acts in the late 18th century to regulate and control companies ruling India. So enforce company to produce regular reports. They appointed a committee, okay, who could look after the administrations and present and produce the reports, okay, who keep inquiry into the affairs and then produce the report. And one such report is the fifth report, which was produced by this committee, by a select committee. So here you can see that British India, to keep to regulate and control the power of the East India Company, they appointed a committee. Okay, this committee inquired the affairs of the East India Company, and then they produced the report. And there is an act of series of act, or there are so many reports in which we are discussing the fifth reports. So if we talk about the report, it produced petitions of Jamidar and Rayat, reports of collectors from different districts, statistical tables on revenue returns, and notes on the revenue and judicial administration of Bengal and Madras. Returns by the official. So the evidence that are contained in the fifth reports are invaluable. But official report like this to have read carefully. We need to know who wrote the report like this and why they were written. So researchers have carefully examined the archives of the various Bengal Jamidaris and the local records of the district. They indicate that the intention was to criticize the maladministrations of the company. So you can find in the fifth report the Jamidari powers collapse was elaborated more than it was really. So as we have seen, even when Jamidaris were auctioned, Jamidar were not always replaced, giving the ingenious method they used to retain their Jamidaris. So here we discuss about the Jamidari, the permanent settlement, and why the permanent settlement failed in Bengal. So how the Jamidari consolidated his power.